Welcome to webinar on QuickBook to Fusion migration. So in the day 3, data migration. In this data migration, we will discuss on the data extraction, data cleaning, data transformation or say mapping, and data import or say loading, data loading, right? So that is data loading. And after data loading, we will go with the test and validation or say verification of the data, right, in the application. So let's start with the data extraction. So let's go to the next slide. So data extraction is a process that involves retrieving information from the database to be used in another application. The information can be transformed as needed, and the extraction process can be scheduled to run automatically in order to analyze any increasing diverse set of a data source. An effective data integration tool is required when raw data has not been properly transformed or loaded. It can be challenging to analyze, making it critical to use as an ETL, that is extraction, transform and load tool to automate and simplify the extraction process. With rising of a cloud storage and computing, ETL process has become a more efficient and adaptable, secured and scalable. There are different methods of data extraction, including full, regenerative logic extraction, as well as copy or scan based physical extraction. Regardless of method used, data extraction tools are essential for business of all size to gain insight, enhance operational efficiency, and make informed decisions. There are two types of data extraction, that is manual and automated. While manual extraction is time consuming and prone to human error, automated extraction is more reliable and efficient. Once the data has been extracted, it must be transformed to be usable. This can involve cleaning up the data, converting it into a different format, or integrating it with another data sources. After the data has been transformed, it can be loaded into a data warehouse. A data warehouse is a central repository that stores the data from various sources in the organized manner. By implementing the extraction, transformation and loading procedure, the business can improve the accuracy and usability of their data, making it easier to access and analyze. The exporting data from QuickBook to Desktop Pro, you can export things like bank transaction, accountant's charges, accountant changes, general journal entries and batch transactions. You can also export your customer, vendor and various list of chart of accounts, employees, vendor types, items, shipping methods, to-dos, notes, sales tax code, customers and customers job, other name, classes, payment terms, customers messages, sales rep, vendor, customer and job type, payment methods, budget price levels, and so on. So I have extracted a one file that is a vendor, that is in an extension of IIF, right? So if I open this particular file, let me open this one. Just click this. Let me open this file. Open with the Explorer. So you can see this is the file. The extracted file is in this format, right? So we will convert this in the data cleaning, right? So next step is to make the file usable for us, right? So that is next step. And you can see out here the data extraction involves retrieving information from the database for use of another application. An effective data integration tool is required to analyze and grow the variety of data sources. Automating and simplifying the extraction process using the ETL tool can be helpful to allocate the resource to other priorities. Cloud storage and computing have made the ETL process more efficient and adaptable and secured and scalable also. Data extraction tools are used by the business of all sizes to gain insight and enhance the operational efficiency and make the informed decision. Data is valuable for business and can be extracted and transformed and loaded into data warehouse. The data warehouse allows the business to access the data in the organized manners, and implementing the extraction, transform and load procedure, that is ETL process, can be improved accurately and usability, right? So that is out here we will extract the data, that is transactional data and the master data, right, from the QuickBooks. So you got bank transaction, account changes, general ledger entries, batch transactions, your customer, your vendor, your various list of chart of accounts, employee details, vendor types, item, shipment methods, notes, sales tax code, customer and other names, the classes, payment terms, customer message, sales wrap details, vendor and customer and job type, payment methods and budget price level, etc. we can extract from the QuickBooks desktop, right? So that is the extraction process. Let's go to the next one. That is data cleaning, right? So let's go with the data cleaning. Data cleaning is also known as a data cleaning or a data scrubbing. It is a critical process that involves correcting the errors, inconsistency and inaccurate in the data set. The goal is to improve the data quality and reliability, making the data suitable for analysis, the decision making, right? So process involve a series of steps, includes detecting and resolving the issues such as missing values, duplicate records, incorrect data format and outlines. For example, suppose you have financial data warehouse. In that case, data cleaning may include eliminating duplicate vendor customer records, filing in missing values or key indicators, fixing the data entry errors to guarantee the accurate vendor customer information. This guarantees that financial experts have access to dependable data that they can use to make informed decisions about the vendor and customer details. Data scrubbing is another term for data cleansing and is often used to interchangeably. It involves the process of scrubbing or cleaning the data to ensure it is consistent, accurate, and ready to use. Data scrubbing typically involved a combination of automated tools and manual intervention to identify and resolve the data quality issues. On the other hand, the data aggregation is a process of combining and summarizing the data from multiple sources or records into a unified data set. It is an essential process in a data warehouse that helps to create higher level view of data, allowing for easier analysis and reporting. Aggregations can be involved functional like summing, averaging, counting, or finding maximum or minimum values. For example, in a retail data warehouse, the data aggregation might involve summarizing up of sales data at the monthly or quarterly level to provide a higher level overview of a revenue trend. This helps the retail to identify the pattern and the trend in the sales data, allowing them to make the informed decision about the inventory management, marketing, and sales strategies. Right, so that is data cleansing, and out here I have one data that has been converted into an Excel. So let's open this one. I created a one sample for better understanding. So you can see out here that this is the data detail which we extracted. If you see out here, the same data is out here, that is in this format, right? It has been converted into this format, that is XLS format. So you can see these lines which is coming from the source, right? It is a source detail, right? So out here you can see these are the details, and we required details. These are the VR required details, right? So we will truncate this particular data when we map with in the next step we will see that also, right? So this is the data out here, the source data we transform into a readable one, right? So with readable and meaningful for us, that has been mapped, that has been cleaned and transformed, right? So it has been cleaned and transformed into a readable one. So you can see the vendor ID, that is vendor name, there is a reference number, timestamp is there, there is something as a print AS, the address 1, address 2, address 3, address 4, address 5, V type is there, there is contact 1 and contact 2, vendor type, that is V type is vendor type, and this is phone number 1 and phone number 2, fax number, email. There is something called note out here, that is tax ID. You got a limits, terms out here, the notepad is there, some noting is there, it will fetch it out, salutation is there, the company name, the first name, and the mid name of who is the person to whom you are going to contact, and the last name, the customer field. These are the customer field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to field that is up to 15, right? So you got us 15 customer fields are there, and there is a 1099 report, whether this is a US based company, so 1099 reporting is required or not. That is yes and no, you provide that one, right? So anything hidden, yes and no, you can. And delete counts, right? So delete counts are there. That kind of a details you can get from the your source system. That after transforming the data and cleansing the data, since we extracted this one in this format, that is vendor IIF, which has been transformed and into a clean the data by cleansing the data to make a readable and meaningful for us for next step, that is mapping the data, right? So that is mapping the data. So we require these datas out here. So this is the vendor detail. I have taken a one example of that only. So that is out here. That is a immigration from QB to Fusion. You can see these are the data we extracted to make a meaningful in the data cleansing, right? So we had done that. So what is the next one? So what next one is data transform and mapping, right? So data transform and mapping. So data mapping is an essential process in managing the integrated data between the different systems. It involves establishing a relationship between the data element in two different modules, which is crucial for various data integration tasks such as data migration, data cleansing, data integration, systematic web constructions, and peer-to-peer information systems. If the data is not mapped correctly, it can become corrupted during the transfer to its destination. Therefore, the quality of data mapping is a key to making the best use of data in the task such as data migration, integration, transformation, and populating the data warehouse. Mapping is the first crucial step in the discovering the key insight and the business intelligence for an organization, target market, and customer. Data mapping allows for a more transparent process and analyze by combining the source into a trusted data set. It is also essential for determining the validity of critical business data and providing the documentation on how it was obtained, which is necessary condition of a data regulation, right? To carry out the data mapping, there are several steps involved. First, you need to define the data to move, including the table, fields in each table, and the format of the field. After the move, the data integration, the frequency of the data transmission is also defined. The next step is to map the data by matching the source and the target fields. If any field need to be converted, transformation is done by encoding the transformation formula or rule. So transform is then run using the test system and the sample data from the source to see how it works and adjust as needed. Once you are sure that the data transform is working as planned, schedule the immigration or integration to go live event. Finally, for continuous data integration, data mapping is a living entity that needs to be updated and changed as new data source are added. The data source change and destinations requirements changes. There are three main types of data mapping techniques: manual, semi-automatic, automated, and automated. The manual data mapping involves connecting the data source and the documenting the process with codes. Similar semi-automated data mapping requires the user to have code knowledge and to move between the manual and automatic data mapping process. And the automated data mapping requires specialized software to take new data and match it to your existing structure or schema. These tools often rely on machine learning to continuously improve and monitor your data models. So overall, the data mapping is an essential component of our data management, as it allows organization to integrate and analyze the data from various sources and accurately. By following the steps outlined above and choosing the appropriate data mapping techniques, business can ensure that their data is accurate, valid and usable for their needs. Right. So data mapping is a crucial for uncovering the insight and ensuring the accurate and trusted data that necessary for regulatory compliance and privacy policies. It improves the analytical and fast data access, enhance the privacy protection, stricter data compliance, and improve the security and the processes. So I have a one sheet related to data transformation. So let's go. So this is the mapping of that particular of a vendor. So that is the source and the target, right? So you can see the source and the target sheet. Let's go and where we will find that particular target. So first we will go through this and we will see the target out here, right? So first the source, the name. So name is out here, right? So we have seen this one. This is the name. We map this name with this out here, right? So that is QB. And the address 1, right? So if you see, this is the address 1, right? And similarly address 2 is mapped with the fusion, right? This is the fusion target. This is source QB and target is the fusion. So name, you can see the supplier name mapped with the supplier name. Similarly address 1 is mapped with the address 1, and there is a address 2 which mapped with the address line 2, and address line 3 mapped with the address line 3. Similarly we map with them, right? So that is, these are the QB source. So that source we have, when we had data cleansing we had done, we have these source. So you can see these are the 5 up to address 5 is there, right? Out here we got only address 4, right? There is a address 4. So there is some limitations out here. Up to the line, if there is any line 5, that has to be addressed out here within 4, or you have to create a one flex field for that to capture that, right? So that kind of activity you have to do. If there is any fifth is there, then you have to create a one flex field, descriptive flex field you can create, and out there you can map with that, right? So that is out here, that is, you can go that flex field, you can create that. So that is attributes, various attributes you can capture, right? Additional attributes related to that you can capture from here. So let's go and first go and search where this target sheet you will download those sheets, right? So let's go to the application. Let's search with the Oracle docs, and out here go to the Oracle Health Center, and out here you get the financial, right? So go to the Oracle financial, go to the all books and let's go with the, and this is not a financial, let's go with the procurement all books, since we are discussing about the vendor, right? So let's vendor, go to the file based data import, and you got something supplier model, right? Import supplier, right? So that is the supplier. You got these sheets, that is import supplier address, import supplier attachments, import supplier business classifications. You got import supplier contacts, import supplier product and service categories. You got import supplier site assignment. You got a import supplier sites, and you got a something called import supplier. Let's take a one sheet to understand that. Let's download that. So when we select that, you can see out here in the Fusion the import supplier, that import supplier from external source into a Oracle Fusion supply model. So that is, you got something called object owner, right? So that is something called object owner, that is a procurement and supply model, that is supplier, right? Then the UCM, where you were going to place this particular file, that is universal content manager, that is account, that is procurement PRC / supplier / import, that is the account you will place, that is the interface where you will place this particular file, right? So this is the template, that is supplier import template .xlsms, you can see, and there is a control file, right? So you can see the control file. Let's download this particular file. Go to the project, that is stage 2, right? So open that, open this, so you can see out here the batch ID is there, show attribute, just a minute, let me close this, let's open this file, unlock this one. So property, go to the property, unlock this, apply OK, open this, go to the supplier interface, out here the unhide, right? So select the unhide. So you can see out here the batch ID, right? So that is a hardcore, right? This is a hardcore. So that is required field. These, if you see out here, there is a asterisk mark. These are the required field. So batch ID is not required. So you can skip that. If you have a very big data to import, then you can provide that particular batch, so that with the batch import you can import with the batches, right? So say you got a 25,000 records you want to import in a one go, that kind of a batch you can create and import to the base table, right? So that kind of a data you can call, right? So that is, and the import action, you got a import action is create and update. If you are bringing the data from QB in the first time, that all the action will be in the create, right? So that will be in the create, and the supplier name, that will be, again it will be a hardcore. So if you see with the mapping sheet, so we have mentioned that it is a hardcore, right? So the create will be the hardcore, and the supplier name, right? So supplier name, you can see the supplier name out here. The new name, if you updating that, then it will be a new name. The supplier number, if there is a updation is there, then there will be a supplier number, right? So alternative name. Then the transaction organization name type, you got a supplier type, right? So what kind of a supplier type you have, if you want to have a supplier or subcontractor or a government supplier or a private limited supplier, or what, that kind of a supply type you can create from lookup values, right? So that is lookup values you can create in the Fusion. And what kind of a business relationship it has, is it as a prospective or a spend authorized, that kind of a details you can provide. So it is a if it is a related to say a prospective, then it will be a, you can't record the invoice, right? So it can record the invoice, it can use for bidding purpose, and then you have to convert to a spending authorized, then spend authorized, then only you can record the invoice and make the payment, right? So that kind of activities, that is out here, that is business relationship, right? So that will be, there is no something, nothing is there, then we had to do the hardcore, right? That kind of a hardcore we had to do. The parent of the supplier, alias, the numbers, is it a one-time supplier, right? So that kind of a detailing you can provide. The customer number, these details, right? So only mandate details are required, so we will go with the mandate one. So you can see these are the details, right? So you can see out here what kind of a tax ID, right? So that is where 30 characters you can put, right? So that is the tax ID number, that is 1099 tax identification number, right? So that identification number you can put out here in this particular one, in this particular, this column, the blue column, right? So that column you can fill, and then you got this details, right? So these details you will fill, and then you can provide, update this, and after going through this you can generate the CSV file, right? So you can fill and you can generate the CSV file. If I go data view, freeze, unfreeze that, so you can see these are the data, right? So these are the data that you have to map with the your source system, right? So that is the source system. So source system we will map, so we will create a mapping sheet, and what type of expression type and the name, right? So what is the mandatory, the first name and the last name, what will be the naming convention you will provide, right? So that kind of a mapping you have to do in the mapping with the source with the target, right? Source with the target, right? So that kind of an asterisk mark is a mandatory field in the Fusion, right? So that is import action is hardcore, that is create, and the supplier name, these are the things we have to fill that, right? So that is the sheet you will create in the mappings, right? So that kind of a mapping, so that will be a data mapping. And mapping, after going through the mapping, then data load and say data import to the application, right? So that is either through manual or through automated process. So you can see this out here, you can have an Excel sheet, you can zip that and upload to the UCM, right? So let's go into the application and see that particular process. So from, let's go to the application one. So right now I am in the application. From the navigator, after providing the proper filling of this particular data, this is the supplier one sheet, that is the supplier details, right? So that is the supplier import interface, right? So if you see this, this is our import supplier, right? So that is an import supplier, this is import supplier, Let's go to the UCM. Under the tools, you will go to the schedule process. Sorry, rather than going to schedule process, let's go to the, you can go from schedule process also, or from file import export also. So that is in the file import export. Go to the file import export, and from here select that and choose that particular file which you want to import and the account, right? So that account is, that is fin, what is the account name? That is PRC supply import, right? So account will be PRC, procurement, right? So that is procurement. Select with the procurement, that is your, so this is the UCM account, right? This is the UCM account. You will select the file and then save this, and after going through this, you will go to, as the file uploaded, then you will go to the schedule process, and the schedule process, schedule new process, and out here that is load, run a one process called load interface for file import. Select that, then we have to run a one process, that import process, that is import supplier, right? So that is import supplier. If I go to this particular one, so where it is the supplier, this is the import supplier, right? So that is the schedule process, right? So that is import supplier. If I select this, and out here you can see the process, search out here, the process name is import supplier, search with that, select that, and the file which you have loaded in UCM, you will get it out here, right? You will get it out here, and you will submit the process, right? You can schedule that. You can schedule through, go to the advanced mode, go to the advanced mode, or say upload new file. From here you can upload that. It will go from the UCM itself. You can, from the advanced, you can do the scheduling, right? So that kind of a scheduling you can do. And after the process has been successfully submitted and the process has been run, the status is successful, then you will re-navigate again, to the schedule process, re-navigate to the same schedule process through the ESS page. You will run the import supplier, that is import supplier. This will create and update the supplier from the data in the supplier open interface table, that is lying in the open interface table. It will bring to the base table of import supplier, and then you will able to see the supplier in the procurement, right? So that is in the procurement, right? So it will be shown out here, and out here you will able to see after the successful import, you can see that particular one in the supplier, right? So you can search it out here in the supplier. You can search with the supplier name, right? So if you go out here, you able to say, suppose you search with the say manage suppliers, go to the manage suppliers, say take a ABC. I'm apparently taking that. If you import the ABC, so you will able to see the ABC company, right? ABC company out here. So that kind of a ABC company, you can view that, you can edit that, and you can view that, right? So that kind of a validation you can do. That is how we can import and validate the data, right? So that kind of a validation. After running the report, you got something validation reports, right? So that kind of a validation reports you can go through, and you can go through from the validation that is out here through ESH. As soon as you run the process from the schedule process, there is a something called reports, the batch reports you get. That whatever that batch reports you get, you can download and you can view the reports, right? So that kind of a validation you do, right? So that is testing and validation. That is the last step we used to do. That is, once the data has been successfully imported into a new system, it is extremely important to go through the test and validation to ensure that the entire immigration process is conducted actually and efficiently in order to guarantee the immigration data in the Oracle Fusion application is correct and complete. Is imperative to conduct a comprehensive verification process. This involves careful examining and scrutinizing the data and comparing it with a source and cross-referring all the essential information. By doing so, all the discrepancies or error can be identified and rectified, and ensures that data is reliable, accurate, and consistent as across all the systems, right? So that is a validation process, right? So that is, upon the completion of the data import process, it is of the utmost important to conduct extensive testing and validation of the data in the new system, right? So that is testing or a verification or say validation of the data, right? After loading the data into the application, you will go to the UI and to check that particular whether that particular supplier you have created that has been imported properly as you have loaded in the interface, that has been come to your base table or not, that has been shown in the application or not. You can test it down with the manage suppliers, right? So go to the test in one or two suppliers, and you can extract from backend also through BI publisher. You can extract the data, what the data you have load, you can extract the data with the sample data of one or two. You can do so, and after successful doing so with the sample of a 10 to 15 data, then you can bulk those data into a bulk data import, right? So that kind of a activity you will do in immigration process from QuickBooks to Fusion, right? So that's it for today. Thank you for joining this webinar. In the upcoming session, we'll cover the topics, that is unit testing. We will go with the unit testing, right? So thank you for joining this webinar. Thanks a lot.